Police have arrested 8 persons in connection with the killings of some 20 persons in 2 communities in Benue.
Yeah, the 8 are all herdsmen suspected of being among the attackers who targeted Guma and Logo local government area of Benue State. Now, Governor Samuel Otom says more than 20 people were killed and another 30 injured, but police put the number of the dead at 17.
Meanwhile, residents of Benue State capital Makurdi have trooped out in their thousands to protest against the January the 2nd herdsmen attack on farmers in which 20 people were killed.
Now, the protesters are calling on the presidency to speak on the killings and bring the culprits to book. They also want government to intervene in the series of other attacks on some rural communities by armed herdsmen.
Joining us from our Abuja studio is a member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Emmanuel Okijev. And of course, he will be joining us in the later part of the discussion. But we have on phone the Chief Press Secretary to Benue State Governor TV Akase will be joining us on Skype to talk about this. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right.
Yes.
And besides that, we'll also be having Gideon Yom from Makurdi, who was part of the eyewitnesses to some of the attacks as well.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so let's start with you, Teve. First of all, the statement by the governor that his administration won't be daunted by these attacks on the anti-grazing law. Tell us why that was even put in place in the first place.
Yes, thank you for this question. That was very important a statement because you know that since the government of Benue State enacted the law prohibiting open grazing of livestock, the herdsmen, the cattle breeders, especially the splinter group called Mieti Alak Kautahore, held series of press conferences in Abuja and elsewhere and vowed to ensure that the law does not come into effect, that the law is not implemented. And they promised to make sure that everything, that they promised to mobilize their members to resist the implementation of the law in Benue State. Now, it is very important that the government emphasizes the implementation of this law because the law is regarded locally and internationally as the best solution to the farmers and herders clashes over
Okay, we seem to have some distortion with your...
Okay.
Okay, Teve, we seem to have some distortion with your audio there, but as we fine-tune it, let me bring in Gideon Yom here, who is a resident of Guma local government, one of the local governments that had some of these attacks. Now, Gideon, good morning. It's good to have you join us now. Can you tell us generally, apart from before this killing, what was the relationship between the villagers and herdsmen in Guma area where you are?
Gideon, are you there? Well, it seems we've lost connection with Gideon. The network's acting up. Let's go back to Teve at this time. You were trying to ask him a question.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Teve, let's come back to you here. Give us a perspective generally. Now that the law, the anti-grazing law is on ground in Benue, and the members of the Mieti Allah that you mentioned said they will resist. Now, give us a perspective. Were there times where there was a stakeholders engagement, where there was a kind of consultation, where everyone sat on the round table for the law to be discussed in real terms?
Absolutely, you are absolutely correct. The government of Benue State under Samuel Otom held series of meetings with between farmers and herdsmen and other stakeholders in Benue State. The meetings were extended to Nasarawa State, Taraba State, and even cross River State at some point. This is to make sure that border communities of Benue, which are flashpoints in the killings that we are talking about now, are protected. And in the meetings which began in Agatu, Fulani herdsmen were also part of it. Some of the meetings were held here in Makudi, and the herdsmen were also represented. And when before the law began, the implementation came into effect, the government invited the national officials of Mieti Alak Cattle Breeders Association. They came to Makudi here and met with the governor and the other members of the Executive Council, and they requested that time should be extended. But the government said a law has been enacted, and before the law the bill was passed by the State Assembly, public hearings were held in the 3 senatorial zones of Benue State, and all stakeholders, including Mieti Ala Cattle Breeders Association and its affiliate organizations, were also invited. And they also knew that a law of this nature was coming into being in Benue State. And because this is the only way that we can have peace. The law has been described as the best solution to the farmers' herders crisis. So meetings were held here in Makudi. Meetings were held in the areas that are affected by this crisis. Meetings were held in Nasarawa State in Lafia, which I was also on the delegation of the governor to Lafia, where the government of Nasarawa and the government of Benue agreed, and a communique was issued. And many of these efforts were made to ensure that dialogue remained the way forward. And cattle breeders were always part of these negotiations.
Okay, so Teve, we'll get to you in a bit. We need to talk to Gideon now. We understand that we've regained connection with him. Good morning to you, Gideon. Now, tell us what happened on the day of that gruesome attack.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, the residents of Guma woke up on a fateful morning, and there was sporadic gunshots coming from all angles, and before they knew what was happening, they realized that we're under heavy attacks from the herdsmen, who came in full military, who came in fully armed with military assorted rifles. And before everybody would settle down after the attack, it was the corpses were counted, and about 20-something people were lying lifeless. And so there was no provocation before this event. There wasn't any case of misunderstanding arising from any conflict. The people woke up going about their normal businesses and were attacked unprovoked. That's the situation that happened in Guma on the 2nd of January.
Okay, Gideon, let me stay with you. One would say, because Benue State is so large, why would they decide that they will attack in Guma or in local government? But you just said that there hasn't been any provocation in the past. But make us understand, what kind of relationship exists between farmers in Guma, where you are, and the herdsmen? Has there been any engagement, apart from hostilities, but has there been any engagement? Is that their route generally?
The relationship between farmers and herders has gone south since 2013. In fact, the first attack was recorded around 2012. So ever since then, there's been on and off attack that's been coming and taking place on Guma and local governments. It is not just Guma and local governments that come under intense Fulani attack. So herdsmen attack in Benue. 15 local governments have been attacked in the previous year. This year is the first after the implementation of the open grazing prohibition law that came into effect last November. So it hasn't been any case where there's been a cordial relationship since 2012. We've always had this hostile relationship, because anytime you see a local, within this local government, citing a herdsman, there's been this unusual tension that followed such visitation. So it has never been a cordial relationship since 2012.
All right, Gideon, hold on. We'll come back to you in a bit. Let me come to you now, Teve. We understand that there were prior information that these attacks could occur in some of those communities. Were there efforts made by the government to maybe bring in security operatives to prevent this sad occurrence?
Well, the threats by Miyetti Allah Kautahore have been repeated, and security agencies were also aware of these threats. And we, as a government, we also made security agencies to know that this is what this group is saying, that they will mobilize their members to resist whatever they meant by that. But now we know what they meant by that. Now that the attacks have been coming in, we know that this is what they meant by mobilizing their members across the country to resist this law. So security agencies were aware, and we also made contact with the governor made contact with the Inspector General of Police on many occasions, the Army Chief, and so on, to intimate them that this is what Benue has been threatened. This is the threat that the cattle, the Miyetti Allah Kautahore have been issuing. So, yes, as a state government, Governor Samuel Otoma and his administration did everything to ensure that the attacks were prevented. But unfortunately, Benue people did not get the needed security, and we now have what we have.
Okay. Teve, I'll come back to you shortly on the issue of those who have been arrested and even the protest in Makurdi yesterday. But Gideon, let me come back to you on, you are in Guma. Can you make us understand, after this attack, has there been security presence on ground from what you have noticed?
Well, currently, I'm in Makurdi, so I can't say of what the situation is like on ground in Goma now. But as at yesterday, I heard there were reports that there was security presence at the area, but I wasn't there physically to witness their presence.
But
I was at the protest yesterday.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was at the protest yesterday, so I haven't been back to Guma where the incidents took place on the 2nd.
All right, confirm to us the information we got that throughout the period of the attacks, security operatives were not there to rescue people.
It is proper to put things into perspective that the local livestock guards were also among the people that were killed during the attack in Guma.
Specifically, the police officers.
I can't say there were police presence during the attack. There weren't. It was the local livestock guards that were inaugurated by the state government after the passage and signing into law of the anti-open grazing law that were present during the attack.
All right, Gideon Nyom, thank you so much for talking to us on TVC this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and let's get back to Teve Akasi, the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Tom, reaching us on Skype from Makurdi. Now, Teve, there was a protest yesterday, and from what we got, it almost got a little chaotic, where the governor was trying to address some youths, and he had to be taken away. Now, talk to us. A lot of young voices or youths yesterday at the protest were actually dissatisfied with the position of the president, him not acting and being swift or decisive enough regarding what's going on in Benue State. Talk to us.
And about 3 were killed in the process?
Yeah, about three youths were killed from the report we got. Talk to us, what's the feeling amongst the youth in Benue as regards the president's disposition to this?
Let me first of all sympathize again with families of the 3 persons who were killed yesterday. This is very unfortunate, but that again explains the mood of the people of the state who feel neglected. When the governor went to town to calm the people down, accompanied by security commanders in Benue State, what we could hear was that we're not happy. The security agencies have abandoned us. We are being killed, and so on. These were the voices of the youths on the streets. The students of the university, Benue State University. Benue State students in general led that demonstration to say that, look, their future is no longer guaranteed when the children are being made orphans. And what has happened is that the people know that these threats have been coming, and the government has been aware. So what they were saying is that the presidency should have directed security agencies to beef up security in the flashpoints, in the areas that are now affected. Because this is not the first time that Benue is attacked by the herdsmen. The security agencies know exactly what has been happening in Benue, and now that the law has come in place, the people expect that the law of Benue should be respected by herdsmen, and if they are not respecting this law, they should be arrested. What the youth were saying yesterday was that, why are these people who carry arms not arrested? Are they above the law? So the anger of the youth was not directed at the governor, it was directed at the federal government. But you know that the governor represents the government here. He is the governor of the state. So if they see him, the only way they can express their anger is to tell him that they're not happy. That was why some people misunderstood what happened to mean that the governor was being attacked. He was not actually attacked, but the youths were sending a message to the president through the governor that they are not happy, that their parents are being killed, their younger ones are being killed, and people are. This is the food basket of Nigeria. And if you don't allow farmers to go back to their farms, what is the future of this country in terms of food security? So these were the messages that we got from the streets of Makurdi yesterday. And to show that the people of Benue are not satisfied, as a government of the state, we have done all we can to calm the people, let them not take the law into their hand. But there is a limit, as the governor has said, there's a limit that the government can control the people. So the message that came from the streets is that the federal government of this country should do more than it is doing to safeguard life in Benue State. Okay,
Teve, we'll come to you in a bit. We have joining us now from our Abuja studio, a member of the House of Representatives, is there now in our studio. His name is Honorable Emmanuel Okejev. And of course, thank you and good morning to you at this time on the show. Many have said this is one killing too many in Benue State, perpetrated by herdsmen yet again. You are a federal lawmaker. The herdsmen have been tagged as the 4th most dangerous group in the world, and somehow in Nigeria they don't even get the attention they're supposed to by authorities, National Assembly, the federal government. So what do you have to say at this point?
Well, thanks for having me. I think this is the easiest attack that could have been prevented, in the sense that we all saw it coming. Since the anti-open grazing law was passed into law, the Miyetti Allah, the umbrella organization that sees the headers, have been consistently giving press statements. On the 23rd of October last year, they held a press conference and said that they were going to mobilize herdsmen across Nigeria to converge on Benue land to resist the anti-open graze law. Now, what's the meaning of that? The leadership of the following day carried it. Now, soon after that, the leaders of the Benue communities, a socio-political organization of the 3 major tribes in Benue, the Chief, the Idomas, the Igede came to Abuja with a petition. Now, they chronicle the timeline of attacks against Benue communities from 2013 to 2016, leading to thousands of killings and hundreds of thousands of displacement of Benue indigenes and destruction of property. And they said that there was an imminent attack on the Benue communities again. So everybody, you didn't need to be a security expert to know that this attack was going to come. But what happened? Nothing happened until the attacks took place. And now we have the presidency issuing a statement of commiseration. We don't need commiserations. We need protection of lives and property. Now the Constitution in Section 14, subsection 2B says that the security and welfare of the people is the primary responsibility of government. That has not happened. And I've come to the conclusion that when it comes to the issue of Fulani herdsmen, we cannot have justice as far as this president is concerned, because he has always turned a blind eye. Now, who is asking for sympathy? Who is asking for commiserations? We're asking for protection. Now, even when the president issued that statement of commiseration and sympathy, yesterday night, the attack continued in local government. So what is the value of that commiseration and sympathy? What is the value of asking the security people to do something instead of shooting defenseless people on the streets of Makurdi? You have the headers killing again in local government after the presidency issued that statement. So, I mean, it shows that as far as the issue of headers is concerned, we cannot have justice with this president.
All right, Honorable Jeff, let me stay with you on this. Now, on the just like you said, a lot of Nigerians became a little concerned from the president's New Year Day broadcast, where he mentioned, when he was talking about security, he talked about Boko Haram and talked about kidnapping, but did not talk about herdsmen. Now, from what you are the National Assembly, you are from Benue State, and you are very familiar with the killings from Agatu to Katsinala to Kwande and other parts of Benue in the past, and even up until now. At this point, what is the National Assembly doing, or are they leaving these states? Because we've had the same kind of issues in Adamawa State, in Taraba State, in southern Kaduna, talking about herdsmen. Are they leaving the states to their fate, or the National Assembly is doing something to ensure that there's a law trying to handle this situation?
Look, every time that there's an attack, a motion is brought on the floor of the House of Representatives. I personally have brought quite a few motions to address this. Each time there was an attack, especially on the Benue soil, we have brought motions drawing attention of the security agencies and passing resolutions. But what happened? Nothing is done to the resolutions. Look, people should know the limitation of lawmakers. We don't control the security agencies. We can only draw their attentions and pass resolutions as to what they should do. It is left to the executive arm of government to enforce this. And if they don't enforce, what do you do? Those are the dilemmas. Those are some of the dilemmas that we face in the National Assembly. We have never slept on all of this. Last year, we called all the security chiefs in the country to a closed-door meetings on what exactly could be done to curtail the attacks nationwide. And but after that, nothing seemed to have happened. So those are the limitations that we have in the National Assembly when it concerns issues like that. But we have not slept. We have consistently drawn attention. We are now on break. I assure you that the moment we come back, attention will again be drawn in form of resolutions to the executive arm of government to take action on this. Whatever they do after that, we are helpless, because we are bound. We are a nation of rules. We are bound by what the Constitution allocates to the National Assembly as its roles. We cannot go beyond that.
What about taking the bold step, as many are suggesting in the country, that it's high time the country had a state police passed, that if state governments have control over security of their states, such acts like this won't even occur, or at least if they do, it will be to the barest minimum?
Well, thanks. Before now, I was one of the opponents of this state police, fearing that they will be turned into political weapons of the governors. But with what is happening now, I think it's an idea we should give a second thought to, because you cannot continue to have, because the federal police, the federal security agencies, sometimes it appears the way they respond to some of these issues, sometimes have directives not to respond to certain situations. I mean, if this thing happened in some sections of the country, you see the speed with which these people will respond. But it looks like we have two sets of laws, one for lesser animals and one for the bigger animals in this country. I mean, it's so sad.
All right, let me bring in TV Akasi, the Chief Press Secretary to the governor here. And back to Benue State. We hear some arrests have been made, but let me talk about the role of traditional rulers in here. Now, when it comes to engagement, when it comes to dialogue, when it comes to mediating, the role of the traditional rulers cannot be overemphasized when it comes to that. But what are the traditional rulers in all of these places, especially in Guma or in Logo? What are they doing about all of this?
Well, the traditional council of Benue State has representatives in the Security Council of the state. The Totiv and the Ochidoma are members of the traditional of the Security Council of the state. And just yesterday, the State Security Council of Benue met, and the Totiv and the Ochidoma were there. And part of what they said was that they will talk to their members, the other traditional rulers under them, to intensify awareness creation, interface with their subjects, to see that, information, because security is all about intelligence, information gathering, that they are able to network with security agencies to see that there is no repeat of what has happened in Benue. So this was the promise that the Totiv and the Ochidoma gave to the Security Council of Benue. So I believe that we are going to see the traditional rulers of Benue have been doing their best, but I think they have also realized the need to do more. And that perhaps that is why the Totiv and the Ochidoma promised that they are going to get back to their members and talk to them to see how they can help security agencies to nip these issues in the bud. So I believe that going by their promise, we are going to see improve their security in Benue domains, in Benue communities.
Well then, somehow, some could say that is not even news, because it's not the first time people would hear a story of trying to intensify at least communal security in Benue State, but we know how it's gone, especially in Agatu, the terrible things Herdsmen did in that community, sending a lot of people away from their homes. So what new thing will the government inject into this now? Because it seems that even the governor Otom is helpless. He doesn't have control over security of his state. It depends on the federal government for that.
Well, it may be wrong to say the governor does not have control of security in the state. He remains the chief security officer of the state, and he still presides over the Security Council of the state. Just yesterday, the meeting was held. In fact, it took place in 2 days, day before yesterday and yesterday. And but you remember that security matters cannot be discussed in the media because these are strategies that are made, that are employed by security experts to see that things are done the right way. And the governor is on top of the situation at his own level, because he does not command security agencies. His job is to tell them, this is the situation I have on my hands. So you have to relate with your headquarters to get to give Benue people help. And he has been doing this consistently. So I think that anyone who says that the governor is not on top of this game, that person has got it wrong. Because and it is one of the reasons that the governor.
Tava, are you there? Well, it seems
Okay.
we lost connection with Seva.
Okay, we lost that signal, but we'll get it back. Let's bring in Honorable Jeff with us in Abuja. Now, Honorable Jeff, the talk to us about the effort by lawmakers from these places where there has been constant attacks. In Benue, in Taraba, in Adamawa State, in Nasarawa State, and even in parts of Plateau State, there has been constant or recurring attacks by herdsmen. What are the lawmakers from these places? Talk to us about what effort you're doing and putting together. Honorable Emmanuel Jeff, can you hear me?
Oh, seems we have issues with
You, and I think I'm responding.
Oh, okay, go ahead,
good.
go ahead.
Okay, so what I was saying is that the lawmakers from these places are sufficiently concerned, and even beyond, because the issue of security, if you turn a blind eye because it does not concern your place, tomorrow it comes to your place. As chairman rules and business, I can tell you that we have handled nearly 20 motions on the floor of the House respecting securities in various parts of the country. We have, and like I told you, the handicap is that after the resolutions of the House have been taken and handed over to the executive arm of government for implementation, that is when you begin to have hiccups. And that is and you see, you are bound by what the law says, what the Constitution says. What are your, can you call the Inspector General of Police or the Chief of Army Staff or whatever security chief that is concerned with such matter and direct him to go into the field and do that? You can only do that through the presidency, because it is the presidency that has the responsibility of directing the various security chiefs to carry out resolutions of the National Assembly. But in terms of sufficient concern, I can tell you they are in overdose as far as these issues are concerned.
All right, so what is the next line now? We hear that the president is saying that investigation will be carried out. 8 suspects have been arrested, but then what will be the lasting solution? The state governor of Benue has put in place anti-grazing law, which Miyetti Allah Association doesn't like. At the national level, what do you think should be the solution? Like you said, there could be a blowback to affect every state in this country.
Okay, it is certain that the presidency lacks the political will to tackle the headers. You already mentioned that the Global Terrorism Index has put the headers as the fourth most dangerous terrorist group in the world. That should draw sufficient attention to the question. I told you about a timeline that was brought to Abuja by leaders of the Benue communities, a timeline of attacks against the Benue communities from 2013 to 2016. Not one person has been arrested and prosecuted. And these people come in large numbers. They come in large numbers. So where is the political will? So first and foremost, there has to be that political will, not mere issue of sympathy from the presidency. I mean, that costs no eyes with anybody as far as we are concerned. You can't have people mow down on the street and you say, oh, we sympathize with the governor and the people of Benue State, when that thing, immediately after that statement is issued, the killings will continue. There has to be that political will. So far, I see none of it.
Okay. Political will from the government at all levels to ensure that the lives and property are saved. Honorable Emmanuel Jev, a member of the House of Representatives from Benue State, thank you so much for talking to us on this. We also thank Teve Akase, the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Benue State. Thank you for talking to us. And we also thank Gideon Nyom, who reached us earlier on. Thank you, gentlemen. We certainly will be following up developments of all of this. You can follow our bulletins as we get along to get updates from Benue State.